So whoever submits his face to Allah, وَهُوَ مُحْسِن, and he is a doer of righteousness, then he will have his reward with his Lord. No fear shall be upon him, nor shall they grieve. So here fear and grief are negated from the likes of these people, right, in the life of this world. And as Imam Shawkani rahimahullah, he mentioned that in this ayah, because of the way of the structure grammatically, وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ, وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ, there is a negation being made, and the negation is with respect to a noun which is indefinite. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ. The noun is nakira, meaning it is indefinite. So when you have a negation with an indefinite noun, then this signifies ash-shumul, means comprehensiveness, meaning it covers everything. So the real meaning, therefore, is that it can't be possible for a person who submits his face to Allah, who he's sincere to Allah and singles out Allah in worship, and he is a doer of good. It's not possible for such a person to live in fear, or to be fearful, right? Or to fear that which is, in the future, and nor grieve over that which has happened in the past. That such a person described with these characteristics, he doesn't grieve about things which have happened in the past, nor is he fearful of what is going to happen in the future, right? His heart is not affected by these two emotions or feelings. And likewise, Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, فَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا يَضِلُّ وَلَا يَشْقَى. Whoever follows my guidance, he will neither go astray, فَلَا يَضِلُّ وَلَا يَشْقَى, nor will he be wretched. Right? So Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he mentioned about this verse, تَكَفَّلَ اللَّهُ لِمَنْ قَرَأَ الْقُرْآنِ وَعَمَلَ بِهِ وَعَمْلَ بِمَا فِيهِ أَلَّا يَضِلُّ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَلَا يَشْقَى فِي الْآخِرَةِ. Allah has guaranteed, so this is a guarantee for the one who recites the Quran or reads the Quran and who acts upon whatever is in it, that he will not go astray in this life, and nor shall he be wretched in the hereafter. Right, so you can see that in these verses there are certain things that are negated for the people who are described in this way, the people who follow, who read the guidance of the Quran, and who act upon the guidance of the Quran, and who submit in tawheed and sincerity to Allah, and who work righteous deeds, right? So basically they are making a general ittiba' of al-Islam, of the religion of Islam in general. So neither shall they fear, nor shall they grieve, nor shall they go astray, nor shall they be wretched in this life or the hereafter. As Ibn al-Qayyim says, he says in this ayah, he says, وَالْآيَةِ نَفَتْ مُسَمَّى الضَّلَالِ وَالشِّقَاءِ أَنْ مُتَّبِئِ الْهُدَى مُطْلَقًا. That this verse has negated this meaning or this sense of misguidance and wretchedness from the follower of guidance absolutely. Meaning, so he says, فَاقْتَدَتْ الْآيَةِ أَنَّهُ لَا يَضِلُّ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَلَا يَشْقَى وَلَا يَضِلُّ فِي الْآخِرَةِ وَلَا يَشْقَى فِيهِ. So this verse means that the ayah necessitates that such a person will not go astray in this world, nor will he be wretched in this world, and nor will he go astray in the hereafter, nor will he be wretched therein. Because remember, in the hereafter there's also guidance. A believer also needs guidance, as Ibn al-Qayyim mentions. For example, when you walk over the bridge over hellfire, when you walk over the bridge, then you are in need of guidance to get over the bridge, because there are some people who are going to go like the blinking of an eye. some like the speed of the wind, some like the swift horse, some who run swiftly, some who walk, with pace, some who walk, and then some who crawl. And all of these variations, they are based upon what you did in this life. As Ibn al-Qayyim mentions at the beginning of Madarij al-Salikin, that the way that you will be guided on the path over hellfire in the hereafter corresponds to the way that you are upon the path in this life. Like for like. Right? So, yes, we are in need of guidance in this life and also guidance in the hereafter. But that guidance in the hereafter also depends upon how we follow the guidance in this life. So Ibn al-Qayyim, he says, this ayah, this verse necessitates that a person will not go astray in the world, nor will he be wretched, and likewise he will not go astray in the hereafter, nor will he be wretched therein either. So this is the second cause, or the second way, which is general ittiba' of al-Islam. Right? So you learn the guidance, you acquire the guidance, you increase yourself in knowledge, and every time you learn a bit of knowledge, you take it piecemeal, right? You don't jump into the whole ocean of knowledge, because whoever tries to acquire knowledge all in one go, then he will lose it all in one go, right? As is said by the scholars. So you take knowledge piecemeal, bit by bit, and you act upon that knowledge, as the Sahaba used to do. That they used to take 10 verses of the Quran, they used to memorize and then learn whatever is in those verses of action. Then they would act upon those 10 verses and making sure that they've mastered them and acted upon them, and then move on to the next 10 verses. Right? And then so, this to actually learn the Quran and to abide by the Quran and to act upon the Quran, this takes you years, it takes you decades. Right? As long as you are taking knowledge, learning it, seeing what rulings are in these verses, and then acting upon those verses. This is how you proceed upon knowledge, and this is how the Sahaba proceeded upon knowledge. Keeping in mind as well that the Quran was being revealed over time, in the lives of the companions over 23 years. So they acquired knowledge steadily, over time, piecemeal, bit by bit, right? And they acted upon what they learned. So this is the second cause, or the second reason. The third reason, which helps us to have a good life, to maintain a good life, is dawamu dhikrillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is constant remembrance of Allah, the Sublime and the Exalted. And this is clearly understood from many verses in the Quran, and from them is the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِ فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. Whoever turns away from my remembrance, then he will have a narrow, constricted life. A narrow, constricted life. And we shall raise him on the day of judgment blind, as one who is blind. So, you can see here that being heedless of Allah Azza wa Jal and not remembering Allah Azza wa Jal is something that brings you a narrow, constricted life. Right? And obviously this doesn't mean here, because someone could have all the riches in the world and could be occupied in the world and have everything under his disposal. But what is meant here is, you can have all of that, but inside your heart, your heart is still, it's narrow and constricted, right? It still suffers from all of those other things. So even if the earth is expansive and vast, then it can still be constricted upon you because of no dhikr in your heart, no remembrance of Allah, right? So likewise, the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ فَصَلَّى. He succeeds who purifies and then remembers the name of his Lord, فَصَلَّى, and then prays or worships. And likewise the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Those who believe and whose hearts find satisfaction, tranquility in the remembrance of Allah. Indeed, in the remembrance of Allah do the hearts find satisfaction. So, you can see from these verses, first of all, if you make dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, you have, your heart is vast and expansive and large. And conversely, if you turn away from Allah's remembrance, your heart becomes narrow and constricted, right? Life becomes hard upon you. Trials become hard upon you. In the absence of Allah's remembrance. And similarly, the hearts find tranquility, tranquil, at ease, at peace with the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. So, this is the third reason or the third cause. And in contrast to the believers, we see that the way Allah Azza wa Jal describes the disbelievers in another verse. So here you can see He's describing the believers, tranquility through Allah's remembrance. Conversely, what do the people of disbelief, what do they find tranquility in? He said, as occurs in Surah Yunus, وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا. That they are pleased with the life of the world, وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا, and they find tranquility with it. So whereas the believer finds tranquility in Allah's dhikr, Allah's remembrance, and dhikr here is general, right? It means worship and obedience, and also the dhikr that we make with the tongue includes all of these things. This is what we find tranquility in, the believer. But the people of disbelief, what do they find tranquility in? Because if there's no hereafter, if there's no Lord and Creator, if there's no resurrection, if there's no reward and punishment, what else do you have left except to try to find ways to get satisfaction from the world, right? وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا. This is what they find satisfaction in. And because the earth is temporal, it is perishing, right? It doesn't last. Then how can the heart find satisfaction in such a thing? They can't. And that's why you see with the people of disbelief, among the people of disbelief, you see all of those traits, the traits and qualities of greed and pursuing riches and following lusts and seeking fame and seeking fortune and all of the sicknesses of the heart, such as envy and jealousy and all these other things. You see these things rampant in these types of societies because they are trying to seek satisfaction by way of the world, right? That's where they see tranquility, but you won't find tranquility in the world. And that's also why you see that among the people of disbelief, throughout the ages, you always see them bringing new kind of lifestyle philosophies, right? Existentialism or this or this or this, whatever. And they're all trying to figure out what's the best way to find happiness. What is happiness and how do we find happiness? So someone will say, well, basically, just do as you wish. Follow pleasure, and you will live a life of happiness, right? And then others, like maybe some of they will try to be spiritual, and they'll say, "Do no evil to others," right? This is like a general, in the Far Eastern kind of philosophies and whatever, but they will miss the mark, right? Because this is just humans trying to avoid worldly evil, right? And worldly stress and worldly anxiety, and to fulfill the potential of pleasure. That's all they're trying to do, right? And so what will happen is that because they're trying to find tranquility in the life of the world, then they have to try and devise all these different philosophies, lifestyle philosophies and things of this nature, and then every 10 years or 20 years there'll be some misguided person who'll come along and he'll give them something new, right? And so they will never find tranquility or satisfaction in their lives. And so, as you can clearly see, what a great difference there is between the one who finds satisfaction in Allah, in Allah's remembrance, and the one who tries to find satisfaction through the world, the life of the world. And any attempt to find satisfaction from the life of the world through other than Allah's obedience is nothing but toil. You're just going through unnecessary toil and tiring yourself out. Right? That's all it is, in the absence of obedience to Allah. So anyhow, this is the third cause. It is the remembrance to be